know that you can hear both me and Jerry and that we are ready to rock. This is going to be another great session. Yes, all right, they can hear us. This is going to be another great session. Jeremy, first let me talk to the family. I talk a little bit before we start each session. You're probably noticing a trend in our presenters. These are people that I am blessed to know, not just because of the work that they do and the transformations that they create, but because we are in community together. So I've probably known, let's see, Jerry, I've been in Charlotte since 2009. I think we met not long after that through a mutual friend. Mm-hmm. So we've been friends for a long time, both from VA. Shout out to Virginia. Show some love to the Cap City. So we both are from Virginia. And now you are in a space, though, where you've been through some changes in life, just like all of our presenters have been. You've had your share of ups and downs, and now you are on a mission to help empower other people to create change in their lives by managing their money better. So first, before we get into any questions, thank you for being willing to give of your time today to help other people. I appreciate you being here.
You're more than welcome. First off, always in awe of you, Coach Tam, and I'm just honored to be here, to be on this panelist, to be able to provide some nuggets. You're a great friend, mentor, just amazing person. So I'm just glad to be here and just honored. So thank you once again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's good to have you here. And I think what would be great to get started, it's also always helpful for me to understand the why behind what people do, because I think we all know that some people are just in business to make money, right? And then there are some people that are purpose-driven, that there's been circumstances that they have experienced or things that they have gone through that led them to take the steps that they've taken. So I think it would be great for our audience to hear, like, what inspired you to get into this business of coaching others around how to better manage their money?
All right, sure, it'd be my pleasure. I will say that crisis situations catapult people into their greatness or into their purpose. Change comes as a result of crisis situations. So that's the first thing I want to say. And I will say that my crisis moment occurred when I first moved to Charlotte from Virginia in 2007. So God told me to move to this area. I didn't know anybody, took a step of faith. And in doing so, when I relocated here, I had a little bit of money set aside, not a lot, but enough that I thought at the time I was doing pretty well. But when I moved here, I didn't have a plan on what to do with my finances, right? So as a result, I will say that I didn't have that plan, and I quickly went through and blew all the money that I had to where I was down to my last, basically under $75 in my bank account. By the grace of God, I still had a 9-to-5, but soon after moving here, the Great Recession hit of 2008. And in my job, it was a very scary time to be just point blank and transparent, because I didn't know whether or not I was going to go to work and get a pink slip, because every day someone that I knew was actually being impacted and let go. And having less than $75 in the bank and not knowing if my job was there and in the city by myself, that was my aha moment. That was my moment of clarity. And what I did was I became a voracious reader first on finances. I was like, you know what, I need to really master this, because money touches every facet of our lives from one form or another. And I believe that success leaves clues. And if it works for one person, if you follow the blueprint, if you follow the plan, ultimately you will get success. Timeline may be a little bit different, but you will reach your mark, right? And I really wanted to first increase my savings. I wanted to be debt free, and I wanted to be able to build wealth and grow my assets. And in doing so, what I did was I learned that first I could do it. I found a plan. I studied the greats, and then I implemented it in my own personal life, kind of like what Crystal talked about. I took action. I started doing it now. But in doing so in that journey, I found out I had a passion for this. Not only was I able to claw my way out of over $53,000 of debt in under 3 years and become debt free, I was able to then learn the craft and be able to give back and help other people come along the way, because so many people are not taught this information. Go to school, you learn how to be a great employee, but you're not taught how to manage the resources that are provided. And I said, you know what, I will always make a promise and vow that I will pull other people forward with me. I will help others who are in the position who don't know how to manage their finances, because you have to learn it. If you don't know what you don't know. So once by learning these skills and applying it, you will start to see transformation. So in doing so, like I said, I became passionate about it. I love sitting kneecap to kneecap with people and just injecting that hope and that inspiration, but also providing practical steps that will equip them to transform their finances. So that's why I do it. And that's why I'm passionate about it. It's been a blessing. I've been doing it since 2014.
Wow, that's awesome. And family, did you hear that? I need you to recognize that, because I'm sure that there are people that are listening to us right now, Jeremy, that are thinking, I am so far in that there is no way that I can get out of this. But you just heard Jeremy say that he clawed his way, going from less than $75 in his account to paying off $53,000 of debt in 3 years. So regardless of what you're looking at, no matter what the bank statements say, no matter what the credit card statements say and the student loan agreements say, I want you to hear hope in what he just shared, is that what he's going to walk us through today and what he will help you with if you decide to partner with him is not something that he just read in the book. Now, know that everyone that's a part of this panel is an expert in their field, so they study, right? But it's not just expertise. You're also getting the benefit of experience. He's walked this journey. He knows what it's like to have to make those difficult decisions that we're going to talk about today. So no matter where you are, things can get better. Jeremy, talk to us about why, we've had a lot of presenters today. There's a lot of things that are going on that people could put their time into in this season, quite honestly. What's your thought on why, getting a control of your finances should be at the top of the list for something that we do now?
Excellent question. I will say that debt and poor money management has become a crippling way of life for far too many people. And statistically speaking, 7 out of 10 people live paycheck to paycheck on that thin razor edge there's no margin between them in life. Anything that happens, any kind of situation is then an emergency situation. You can't breathe. And being in that position, personally speaking, it causes anxiety, it causes stress, it causes moodiness. And we're not called to live that way. We're called to be the light and to definitely be in a position to where you can help others and give. But when your resources are so constrained, how can you be that? Because you got to take care of your first priority. So I will say that to avoid getting that financial abyss and not having that constant debt and pressure, it's imperative that we start making our personal economy our top priority. Move savings to the top of your list. Start getting out of debt, clawing your way out of it, having a plan with your finances. One of the things I always ask my coaches or the clients that I work with is, what's your financial vision? Where do you see yourself a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? And then formulating a plan to how you get there and make those steps occur. Improving your finances just gives you, honestly, options in life. Because as I mentioned earlier, finances touches every aspect of your life, from your health to entertainment to your basic necessities, whatever. So in that regard, having your finances in order gives you first liberation, it gives you freedom, it gives you options so that you can start pursuing some of your own life passions, your life goals. I know there have been several times when I've sat down with clients firsthand and they're stressed out about going into their job, but they have to go to that job because they're now constrained because of all the other choices that they made. But when you're free from behind that 8 ball, if you will, you're then in a position to start living life on your terms, and it gives you a sense of internal peace. So that's why right now, and especially with this pandemic going on, it's an eye-opening experience that we're all touched from one form of fashion or another. So now is the time to make your finances a top key priority.
Absolutely. Agree 100%. So listen, we had some comments in here. Crisis situations catapult people into their greatness. You really touched somebody with that. And it's true. Like, we hear this theme with all of our presenters. They've all had their own battles, their own journeys, but it's up to us to respond to those situations and use them for good. Now, I want to talk about crisis situations because I want to recognize that there is a variety of people in the audience. Some people have been impacted, right? So some people did have a loss of income as a result of everything that's going on in the pandemic right now. And they may be struggling to figure out, what do I do? So let's start there, Jeremy. When a person is in a situation where they've had a significant loss of income and they have to make some difficult decisions about what they're going to do, and there's not enough money to go around, how do you coach people to deal with that situation? How do they work through that?
I will first say to that person, that situation, that yes, this is a rough and scary time. So acknowledge that and embrace that, right? But And because as of right now, there's been over 22 million people filed unemployment. So this is really a situation that's impacting several people. What I will say to that person in that situation is, for starters, let's take care of your basic necessities. Let's live to fight another day. So your top priority at that point is to take care of first your food. Let's keep food on the table. Make that your top priority. Second, make sure that you have a roof over your head. So take care of those core necessities, your shelter, mortgage, from that perspective. Third, utilities. And then fourth, gas, so you can get to job interviews or where you need to go. So those four core components, or those four areas, is where I would say strictly hone in on. But second, I'll take it another step forward. I always share, do not have an ostrich mentality. And what I mean by that is, do not put your head in the sand and avoid what's going on. Right now is a time that these are unprecedented times that we're in, and corporations are willing to help. So take the proactive step, reach out to your creditors, the companies that you have financial obligations with, and tell them your situation. They will work with you right now, but you have to initiate that call. They have payment plans that are currently deferring late fees, interest. They will work with you, but you got to take that first step and make that happen. So I'll definitely do that.
Got to take action, right? So you can't bury your head in the sand and hope it's going to go away. You have to take action. You talked about how the mental and emotional stress can be there when we're dealing with all of this. And I know you know that from personal experience. What is your recommendation, having gone through that yourself? What do you recommend those do that may be in that situation where they're struggling, they're looking at all the bills that they have, they know that there's not enough money to make it all come together, and they're going to have to make those calls, and that may not even be an easy process. What are some things that they need to do mentally and emotionally to take care of themselves during this process?
What helped me out was the first, as I mentioned, I'm a person of faith, and I definitely believe in starting your day with setting the tone, whether it's first starting off with prayer, some type of daily devotion, something that's going to set the tone for how you're going to take the day. That was huge for me. It helped me really make sure I knew what was truly important and quieting out the noise, if you will. So that was huge in that regard. I would say second, your circle of influence, people around you. You are the average of the 5 people that are in your circle. So make sure that the people that are around you are pouring into you. I know I've been blessed to have a community of people who definitely do that. So I would recommend that person take assessment of who is pouring into them at that moment, because what goes in is going to come out eventually. So that's huge from that aspect. Turn off the TV, the negative noise, the social media, that kind of stuff, because if it's not feeding into you, use that time to either read some type of book. There's podcasts. There's so much stuff that can help you reprogram your mindset, because the mind controls every aspect. So taking control of that. I know Coach Tam, you'll probably speak to this. I know you're in favor of this, but exercising, getting out there, moving, getting that energy out, that helped just with the mental clarity regard from that perspective. And then I will just say, finally, know that it's only a season, and that seasons come and go. You take assessment of all the things you've probably gone through in your past and how far you were able to come through it on the other side of it. So the storms don't always last, that something will come from it, but really do that from that regard. So those are some of the things I would say. And know that from a money standpoint, if you lost your job, yes, it's a blow. I'm not saying it's not, but there will be another job out there. There will be another opportunity. You have to put some work in and find another avenue where those funds are coming from. But there's something around the next corner. Just always have hope and believe that something's better around the corner. So those are things that, from a mindset perspective, is that we can control what we take in and how to be a better person from that regard. So that's what I would definitely recommend and provide.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, because what you're challenging us to do, and family, what Jerry is challenging us to do is to take, and I see a question, we're going to get that. We've got to take care of ourselves in this process, right? We can't just look at our circumstances and what we're dealing with externally. We also have to look at the inside. We've got to make sure we're feeding our spiritual self. We've got to make sure that we're getting that stress out. Exercise, that's a huge part of why I work out, is, everything that you're managing in your daily life, and whether it's going to work or running a business or family. I mean, just there's so many things that we have in our lives that we're juggling. Having a release for that is very, very important. And so all of those things together are important, whether we're in a financial crisis or not. Those are things that foundationally keep us centered and keep us positive. Now, you talked about the fact, too, that have hope that things will eventually get better. And we believe that. And it's sometimes we struggle with that because we're so focused on where we are right now. But there's also things that we can do if we're in that situation to create alternative sources of income. So talk to us about, and I know that this is something that you live because, as Crystal said, we're friends in real life. So I know you're a little bit of a hustler. You're a jacker. You got a lot of things going on. So talk about how we get alternative sources of income.
Yeah, I think Crystal hit it right on the head. I am a huge fan of having multiple streams of income. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. That's a perilous way to manage your finances. The average millionaire has over 7 streams of income, just to give some perspective from that aspect. So mindset is, my goal is to have 7 streams of income in one sense or another. If the key thing is delayed gratification leads to long-term sacrifice. So in this season right now, you may have to do something that may be a little different. So for me, I worked a part-time job after my 9-to-5. I was able to use all that money and apply it straight to debt. So find other streams of income from, maybe it's working on the weekends or on your days off when the situation changes and doors open up in the other jobs. So that's one way. Look for different job opportunities. Second, I strongly believe that God has given each and every one of us a gift or talent. How can you monetize it and tap into it? For those who can bake, maybe it's an opportunity to turn your stove into a moneymaker. Go bake those cookies when things open up and you're able to use that as a stream of extra income. That's another way. When I work with clients, I always have them stretch and think, like, what do you do well? In this environment now, everybody's wearing masks now. So for someone who can sew, maybe that's an option or a job opportunity to create an extra stream of income where you create masks. I mean, just think outside the box. That's one area I would say. VIP Kids, it's an organization where you can teach kids how to learn English in another country. You can do that. All you need is a laptop. And if you have a college degree, it's an opportunity for you to use that as an extra stream of income. There's DoorDash, there's Instacart. There's so many ways. Right now, there's still companies that are hiring. It may not be the job that you want, but the whole thing right now in this season, especially if you've been laid off, is that you want income to continue to come in. And for those who still have a job and are blessed to be in a position to get income, if you find that extra stream of income, what that's going to do is help catapult you even further and knock out your goals that you have. So paying off debt. That's what I did when I paid off my $53,000. I worked, and every dime that I earned towards that, it didn't go towards anything else but my debt that I was focused on. Every single dollar went to that. I was laser focused on that goal, and I made small incremental steps and made sure I stayed on track of what I was going after. So those are the ways that and why I believe that income in many different forms is a blessing. And from there, you can use it to build wealth and just do so many different things. But that's the key thing, or the key nugget I will say is use those extra streams so that if you lose your primary source of income, you're then in a position to still be able to get through the storm until you get something else that aligns to your purpose and your passion. So that's what helped me out.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And you know what's so, and I saw the question, but you tackled it. You got a question from Camille on the steps that you took to eliminate the $53,000 of debt. I think whether we're talking about weight loss and fitness or paying off debt, there's often a belief that there's one big thing that does it, right? But what you're telling us is it was the simple thing that we probably don't want to do of going to work every day, getting a second job, and taking the money from that second job and putting it on the debt that you had. And it was just by being committed to that goal, to that decision that you made. Like Crystal said, it's not enough to make a decision, but I got to take action. You took action on it for 3 years to get the income, and that's how you paid the other debt. There was no magical windfall of money, right? No. It was just getting it done.
And jumping in, because the onus falls on you. No one's coming to save you. It's your responsibility, and it falls on you to knock it out. And I remember I had to miss a friend's milestone birthday. I wanted to go so bad, but I was like, at this moment in my life, I was never going back to that person of only having $75 and being stressed out and scared. And I said, I can't. I will, I'm there in spirit, but I could not go home and be at the birthday party. And the person understood. But in hindsight, it helped me get to a position now where now I have more options and more things to do. So it was really the sacrifice is key. There's no secret formula. It's taking the steps over and over. And it's with discipline. No one likes the discipline aspect of it, but you want the results on the other end of it. To get to the workout aspect you were talking about, to lose weight, you got to be disciplined about it. Same thing with your finances. And in doing so, you'll see the success. So that's what definitely will help you move the needle.
I love that. So let's talk a little bit about how we do that. So we've spoken to those that may be in a really tough financial situation due to some COVID impacts. But there are also people that are here with us today that, as you said, are still blessed to have a job, but they want to take advantage of this time to improve their financial situation. So I spent some time on your blog, and you shared this statistic that the average American would not be able to cover a $1,000 financial crisis without having to go into debt to cover it. So it talks about the fact that it doesn't have to be a huge thing. So sometimes we hear about people that, they have medical crises and they have all these medical bills, but it can be something as simple as $1,000 that really makes a difference. Now, you coach your clients to use a particular practice in order to make sure that they're not in a situation where an emergency throws them completely off. Talk to us about how this works.
Sure. I will say that no one's immune to life. Trials and tribulations impact each and every one of us. So something will happen. It's no way around it at the end of the day. And working with clients, what I always want them to realize is that you have to make yourself a top priority. Pay yourself first. So in doing so, what that does is it gives you first an avenue to start building wealth and start building first an emergency cushion so that when life happens, you have margin and you have that breathing room. So what I typically experience when I work with clients is that they have their savings hierarchy upside down. They take care of all their necessities. They take care of some of their wants. They do all this other stuff and they save from what's left. You have to flip that hierarchy. You have to make yourself top priority. I believe in giving and savings. They're 1 and 2 off the top, non-negotiable for me. When I speak with my clients, I have them really assess that situation and move savings to the top of the list. Take care of your necessities, your obligations, and then your wants. That's a healthy financial hierarchy. I was working with one client, a married couple, and we'll call them Jane and Jack, just for namesake, right? They came to me and they were not able to save any income. They had a decent salary, but they were constantly struggling and constantly living paycheck to paycheck, and they had no emergency fund savings. So I had them do a 30-day tracker where they went through and they identified the last 30 days where their transactions were going. And once again, the ostrich mentality, right? Taking your head out the sand and really seeing what's going on. They identified that they were spending over $500 a month between the two of them and their family in eating out. Not just groceries, I'm talking about eating out. And I was like, you're eating away your savings. That's why you don't have this emergency fund in place. And in doing so, in less than 3 months, they were able to have at least $1,000 cushion there. Once again, it was just making that mental shift and making it a top priority. So that's the first thing. I also share with my clients, you want to automate your savings. Take the discipline aspect out of it. So the one thing I always share is make sure that when you set up an account with your bank, that you automatically have funds from your emergency fund going into there, have it funneled in there. That way you start to live below your means already. You're already making savings a top priority, and just naturally it's going to continue to increase step by step. Each time you get paid, that account's going to continue to rise up. And then third, I strongly encourage you keep your emergency fund savings separate from your other accounts, from your primary checking or savings. Don't commingle it, because let's just be honest and real. What's going to happen? You're going to die of 1,000 cuts. You're going to go to the ATM, see that balance in there, and say, you know what, let me hit this $20 worth. Let me fast cash this time or take out another 20, and that emergency fund savings will quickly deplete. So what I recommend and what I do personally is I have emergency fund savings in an online account. It's still there if I need it, but it's not as easy to get to, right? Or maybe it's having a bank across town. But the key is you don't want to commingle it. I think in doing those 3 things right there, you will also make savings a top priority, and it'll help you out. Once again, create laser focused SMART goals, something that's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time oriented. So don't just say I'm going to save money. Say I'm going to save $1,000 by X date and then back into it. So let's say you want to save $1,000 in 10 months. That means you got to save $100 per month. Now you know if you're moving the needle. Now you know you're getting to those benchmarks, if you will, to accomplish that goal. that will definitely make sure you stay on target and let you know where you're missing the mark. So that's a huge thing that I always share with my clients. And then for kicks, what I typically do, one thing is called a savings challenge. It's an easy, painless way to save about almost $1,400 in a year's time. It's 52 weeks in a year. So each week, you increase your savings by $1 per week. So let's say everybody has $1 right now at this very moment. Put that dollar in your savings account today. Next Saturday, you save $2. Following week, you save $3. You continue it and increase it by $1 per each week. By the end of 52 weeks, you will have $1,378 saved. This is a painless way to start making savings a top priority and to get some of that cushion, that breathing room, so that you can start doing other things with your money and building wealth. So that's a huge way to get that windfall.
Yeah, I love that, because you know what? I hear so many parallels in what you're talking about and other goals, right? So it ties into fitness. It ties into real estate. It's the disciplines, right? It's putting the systems in place and then making it, I like to call it making it easy for you to be successful rather than making it easy for you to fail. If the money is accessible, you're going to take it out. Like, like I tell my clients, if you know you have a problem with chocolate chip cookies, don't buy the chocolate chip cookies and hope you're not going to go get them, right? You just don't buy them. You bypass that whole section at the store because you're making it hard for yourself. So there are some practical steps that you teach your clients to take that makes it easy for them to be successful. So I love that. There was another article that you had, and it talked about how, no job is safe. Just like you had that constant fear back in 2008 during the financial crisis. And quite honestly, the season that we're in now, many people that are employed are living with that fear that, is this going to be the day? Like, they're telling me everything is okay, but is everything really okay? And so for that group, they need to put a plan in place. And you have this concept called the sinking fund. Talk to us about how that works and how those people that are listening to us today can put that into action.
Yeah, people perish from lack of vision without knowing where they're going. And a sinking fund helps you get that vision of planning for what's coming down the pipe, what's coming down the road, being forward thinking, right? So a sinking fund is where you just systematically save up money for upcoming expense. So let's say, for an example, after this pandemic ends and, we're able to move around a little bit, I'm sure people are going to be having cabin fever and want to get out and take a vacation or get out and stretch the legs a little bit. So if you were to say you want to take a trip that costs $1,000, you would save, let's say, $50 every pay period, $100 a month to keep it simple. And in 10 months, once again, keep the numbers easy, you would have that $1,000. That's what a sinking fund is. You are proactively saving towards an upcoming expense so that you're then able to just go ahead and pay cash for it, and you're not bringing that back, and then you're paying off stuff that's no longer even there anymore. You're paying for past choices, right? So it's a quick and simple way to first it removes the guilt of spending. It gives you clarity on what you can really truly afford, because you want to just own it outright and just be done with it. So that's huge from that regard. And it just gives you that peace of mind. Christmas is right around the corner. We know that December 25th is Christmas every year. If you start right now putting a couple dollars away and just saving that money in a sinking fund, then when Christmas comes, you're no longer starting the new year off in credit card debt because you were already proactively managing your money. So it's really being intentional. And what I always share with my clients is that think about big corporations, a business in general. They know down to the dollar where their penny is going. So it would behoove us to know that, if it works for others, apply that same philosophy to my money, know where it's all going. So budgeting and having a plan where that money's going is critical. It's critical to help you hit those milestones and those goals. I do it personally. Right now I have one for a car fund. The next time I buy a car, once again, it's gonna be paid for cash, but I'm now in a position where I can put money aside and start saving up for that. Once again, small amounts, they equal up to large sums of money. So whatever your future expense or event is, just be proactive and start saving towards it now. So then when it's time to come there or that event to take place, you can pay for it and just be done with it. So that's the sinking fund concept.
I love that. I love that. And I'm putting some information for our audience in the chat so that they know how to get in contact with you. And I want to talk a little bit more about how they can get connected and what you're doing for this audience. But I know that a lot of people like to keep up with things on social media because It gives them, kind of quick, actionable tidbits. And you have social media presence. So will you share with the audience how they can follow you on social media?
Yes, I am on Instagram, Easy Money Tips by Jerry. So please follow me. Go out there and share. I provide daily nuggets, a lot of motivational, inspirational, plus money tips. So that's my primary source right there, Instagram. Also, my website that you sent out, I provide blogs from that aspect. I have other resources for those who really want to transform their finances and do it now, take action. Go to my homepage on my website. I have a document, a free PDF that has 5 additional practical tips you can take right now to help transform your finances. Great opportunity for you to start taking action now. One of the key things I always say is get ready, fire, and then aim. Most people, they get ready, they aim, they get stuck on the aim aspect, and then they fire. The difference is in firing first, it shows you how far you're off from your goal, and then you can course correct and make greater strides from that regard. So taking action now is the main thing. For everybody on the call today or the Zoom meeting, you're getting ready, you're absorbing this information. You have that sponge-like mentality, which I commend and I definitely recommend, or I acknowledge in this season. But don't let it fall on dry soil. Allow this to penetrate and do something as a result of it. So if you're that person that right now is in a position where you're currently laid off or you're furloughed and things are tight, take care of your basic necessities. Live to fight another day, but then make getting some type of employment your key priority. That's first off. If you're in a position right now where you still are and you're blessed to have that job, start budgeting, get on the plan with that. Start attacking debt. And as a financial coach, that's what I do. I help sit down with people, assess their situations. What can we do to help you first get a plan for your finances, i.e. the budget, because that's the foundation from which everything is built upon, knowing where your money's going, and then additional steps to start tackling savings, eliminating debt, investing, and then get into the bigger things like we was talked about, the real estate, all the other areas that are opened up. So it's so much you can do once you're free and you have options in life. So those are some of the key nuggets I will say as far as next steps and really what to do to transform your finances and start doing it now.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned that you work one-on-one with clients to help them create transformation. Let's talk about some of the things that you can help them do that they may be struggling to do on their own. Like what would be some of the benefits that they would get from working with you one-on-one?
Well, one of the first benefits is creating once again, a blueprint for your finances. The budget is an area where a lot of people has a negative misconception. A lot of people think it's restrictive. You can't do anything. Like, I'm on this bread and water lifestyle, but really having a budget gives you freedom to go ahead and do the things you want with your money. All it is it's a plan for how you spend, save, and invest your hard-earned money that you work and that you earn. So think about all those hours on the job. You got to deal with all the stuff at work, having the options or knowing how to manage it. So the first thing I help people do is how do you manage that money so that you're not looking up at the end of the month wondering where your money went. You have clear insight of how you're managing it and how you're going to make it work for you in that regard. Second, sitting down with me will help. I will provide you with a debt reduction plan. How do you get out of debt? How do you break free from that bondage that keeps so many people shackled to a life that they don't want to live, being stressed out, not knowing, having that anxiety from that regard. So that's a second aspect. And then making your money work for you with basic investing in tips and information, savings. So just a holistic blueprint of how to manage your money efficiently so that you then have options in life. What I am doing typically for a coaching session is $100 for a session. For those who join in this event right now, I do have slots available for the month of May where for $50, I am doing that. I also have other things that are available from e-courses. So whatever you need is there. It's just take action and do something now so that the next time something event happens, you're not stressed out and, in a position of fret. So that's.
Absolutely. Love that. So family, you have Jerry's website in the comments. So do it now. Head on over to his site so you can get connected to his blog, follow him on social media, and take advantage of one of those sessions for the month of May before they are gone. Jerry, we do have a question from Verlette who says, while paying off debt, did you have an emergency fund or did it all go towards the debt? So did you have the emergency fund and pay off the debt at the same time, or did you focus on one before the other?
You know what? Great question. The first thing I did was I did have an emergency fund set in place because I did not want to I didn't want to drain my savings down. Let me take a step back. The first thing I did was my tax return money, I put that aside for savings. So that gave me a little jump start right there. So if you get any type of windfall, if you get someone receive a stimulus check right now and you're able to put some of that away, squirrel that money away so you have a foundation there. But from there, what I did was once I had a nice little, I had my at least $1,000 in place and I felt comfortable with that, everything else that I earned went straight to attacking debt. That was my next focus. I really believe in staying laser focused because you cannot boil the ocean. What many people do is they focus in on many things. They want to save money. They want to eliminate debt. They want to invest. They want to do all these things at one time, but nothing happens. You can't boil the ocean. So focus in on one thing at a time. If it's building your emergency fund, save towards that. Once you have that established, then let's start tackling your debt. And in doing so, then you'll see greater results. So excellent question. But what I did was I got a small amount that I felt comfortable. So if something happened, I knew I could cover it. Everything else was just focus on knocking out the debt.
I love that. So Verlette, I hope that answers your question. Really, really great question. So what Jerry is going to help you do is come up with a strategy for tackling the debt, right? Because strategy is really, really important. Wouldn't you agree, Jerry, that there's kind of an order to how to pay things off so that you get ahead, and we got to make sure that we have that emergency fund so that we don't pay off and then charge back and pay off and then charge back. So strategy is very, very important.
It's critical. If you aim at nothing, you're going to hit it every single time. And I'm a huge sports fan, and I know that going into sports, every team has a strategy for what they're going to do to win the game. The Chiefs didn't get to the Super Bowl just by accident. They had a game plan, they had a course of action, and they had a strategy. Same principles will apply to your finances. When it comes to your debt, having a clear game plan, what to focus in on, what action steps to take, having accountability, that's how you'll start to see that needle move and the debt to evaporate in a nutshell. So I will definitely make sure that you continue to stay focused in on that. And that's strategy is key. You can't get around it.
Got it. So Jerry, let's leave the audience. I firmly believe that what we say last is going to stick with our audience most. So we talked about a lot of things today. If you had to boil this down into a few actionable tips for the audience that they are to take away and take action to do it now on, what would you say to wrap this up for us?
Just to reiterate, for that person who is currently unemployed right now or out of work, I will say, reach out to those creditors, to those companies to do something to make sure that they are aware of the situation and get that help from that regard. Currently be proactive on looking for some kind of extra stream of income. Like I said, tap into your talents, your gifts. So that from that regard, if you are blessed right now, you still have a job, make savings a top priority. Pay yourself first. From this day forward, move yourself to the top of that hierarchy and live below your means. That's critical. Start tackling your debt, pay off your debt, getting on a budget. Those are the things that will help you going forward, be in a position to where you can weather these type of storms. So just in a nutshell, I will say budgeting, debt, and savings is a critical component to having a healthy finance and a smart game plan. So yeah, that would be the key nuggets I would want to leave somebody with.
I love it. So family, great time with Jerry, right? I see some thank yous that are being given in the comments. Some people talking about, Jaquanda, I've got 6 online saving accounts to help with expenses. Yes, that's what we're talking about. Make sure that you have it all covered. Alice saying, take action. Verlette says, thank you. Gladys says, thank you. Camille says, excellent information. There are so many people that have been blessed by you being here today. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking time out of your schedule to help pay it forward. Because sometimes when people achieve success, and they've done things like you have, they stay focused on them and their goals, but you've made a decision that you want to impact others and help others break free from what you have personally experienced. So thank you for being here. Shout Jerry out in the comments. If what he has shared has been a blessing to you, let him know that. Show him your appreciation. So Jerry, thank you so much for being here with us today. Hope you can hang out with us as we kind of bring this thing home and wrap up for the day. And I wish you God's best always.
Thank you, Tam. Love you. And I definitely will.
Love you. All right. Catch you later.
All right.